Four movies about things we all love: record stores, record labels, record people, and Christmas music. Hey peeps, I'm TC Kirkham, the Kirkham Report. Welcome to Rockin Reviews for this week. I have four great documentaries that you're all going to love. I think you will, because you're all music fans and you're all vinyl fans, and these all involve vinyl music in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's a store or a label or the people who collect or the people who collect a certain kind of music, it's all good all the way around. So let's start off with the story of the most legendary record store of all time.
I got a job at Tower Records because that's the only place I could get a job with my haircut. That is the truth.
The largest record store in the universe is Tower Records.
Tower Records had everything. They were like friends.
If you came into town, you went to Tower Records.
Tower was the center of it all.
When you first started buying records, who didn't go to Tower Records? Tower Records was a mecca for me when I moved to Boston. We didn't have them easily accessible in Ohio when I lived out there, or in Washington. We had smaller chains in our local area. But Tower Records had locations in Cambridge and Boston and Burlington. And I think there was one up on the North Shore somewhere. And Tower Records was awesome. Actor Colin Hanks made his directorial debut with this movie. It is a terrific story called All Things Must Pass: The Rise and Fall of Tower Records. It chronicles the people who worked there, the people who were behind it, and everything that went on and what made Tower Records so special. Tower Records is still available online, and there's still some stores in Japan that aren't affiliated with the original company. But Tower Records, you know, here I can describe my own experience with them. Tower Record in Boston was down on Newbury Street. Right now, it's now the home of Newbury Comics, and after Tower closed, it became a Virgin Superstore for a while. But that three-story mecca was wonderful. I knew right where to go for everything. The first floor had videos and movies. The second floor had CDs and all kinds of different types. And I'm trying to remember if there was a third floor or not. There may not have been. There was the little room where you went in to find all the international stuff. Around the back of the area, you'd find all the pop stuff. Then there was a section for country, and you know, it was just a great place to go. I could spend hours in there. There was also a bookstore in the video area downstairs. The one in Cambridge, everything cool was upstairs. You had to go upstairs to get to the international section, to get to most of the great book section. I only went to the one in Burlington once, and it was pretty cool too. But Tower Records' demise was really the final nail in the large store coffin. There are a few still around. FYE, which is owned by Transworld, was owned by Transworld. It's actually been sold to a Canadian conglomerate now. FYE started off as a grouping of different stores that included Record Town, Tape World, Coconuts Movies and Music, and more, and then added to that Strawberries, Sam Goody, a number of other companies before merging everything under the FYE banner eventually. Tower is truly the place to see everything that happened. And this movie tells its story from its humble beginnings in Los Angeles to its major chain days, going coast to coast and back to its liquidation days and why it ended up failing. You can tell Colin Hanks was a big fan of Tower Records. And I imagine the son of Tom Hanks probably had quite a bit of extra cash on the side he was spending on CDs during his youth. But there's nothing quite the same as walking into a physical record store and looking through stuff. I mean, I've always loved it. I mean, I haven't done it, a lot, except for Newberry Comics, recently, or even in the last 20 years. My go-to places were Borders, Books, Music, and More for a while, and of course, Barnes & Noble has a CD and vinyl section now. But I haven't been to a lot of mom and pops except in Cambridge for a while. Cambridge still has... When I moved to Boston, record stores were all over Harvard Square. Now, there's one, Newberry Comics, and a few little tiny collectors oriented places. But Tower Records was the Mecca, and this is their story. If you haven't seen their story, you need to check it out. It's from 2015, and it will bring back memories of shopping there, and also make you angry that some of these chains that were so great are no longer around. All Things Must Pass, The Rise and Fall of Tower Records from 2015. Check it out.
An indie label out of Hollywood is doing their best to keep it real in the rap game. They don't just put out rap records, also old school funk records. And to call their roster diverse would be a major understatement.
This is a culture and a lifestyle and an inspiration for so many.
Stone's Throw just managed to build its own empire independently.
I'm not a huge rap or hip-hop fan. I like some of it, but not most of it. And so I was completely unaware of what Stone's Throw Records was. When we sat down to take in Our Vinyl Weighs a Ton, the story of Stone's Throw Records, at the 2014 Salem Film Fest in Salem, Massachusetts. I came out realizing that two of my favorite artists had started on Stone's Throw Records, Mayer Hawthorne and Aloe Black, and I learned about who Peanut Butter Wolf was and how much he was respected in the rap community for starting such a label. Stone's Throw Records has been a pioneer for many years, and at the time of this movie, they were known to the underground rap community, but hadn't really had major super chart success. After this movie, I think they got even more attention, and ironically, those two acts I just mentioned declined to appear in the film, having signed with bigger labels since then. But it did have a great spin on what it takes to get a small record label, the kind of prestige that Stone's Throw ended up with virtually overnight after really taking off. It's similar to Oscilloscope when it comes to movies. Oscilloscope was almost unheard of when it was first started by one of the Beastie Boys. I think it was Adam, and it took off, and it remains a prestige label for films to come out on. Stone's Throw could be that for the rap group as well, rap and hip-hop, and if you're not familiar with Stone's Throw Records, this movie will help you become familiar with them. If you're into that kind of music, you may find stuff you've never heard before. It features interviews with Tyler, the Creator, Kanye West, I'm trying to think of who else is in it, Common, number of other people, and it really shows off the kind of chutzpah it takes to make it in the industry today, especially in the very competitive world of rap music. Our Vinyl Weighs a Ton, the story of Stone's Throw Records, originally released and premiered, I believe, at South by Southwest in 2013 or 2014. All I know is that it's very much worth checking out and seeking it out, especially if you're a rap fan, but even if you're not, because the insight that it's going to give you will leave you pretty amazed at how some of this stuff happened and how it actually got off the ground. Our Vinyl Weighs a Ton, the story of Stone's Throw Records. Check it out.
Vinyl, it's the only way to make sound solid, like to bring it into our dimension.
Listen, there's something sacred about the whole thing. 12 by 12, 33 RPM.
Putting it on your turntable for the first time and dropping the needle on the record.
It's magical. It's mind-blowing.
The thrill of what might be behind the door of that little shop. You know, I've never been stunned to find an MP3.
I want you to know something. For those of you who don't know it, I'm a digital person. I've been a digital person for the last 20 years. I believe in digital music just as strongly as I believe in vinyl or CD. But that having been said, vinyl was always my first love. You can see the crates of albums behind me, 45s on top of it. I got more 45s recent years than anybody. And now that the vinyl resurgence has really taken off, there are a number of movies that talk about vinyl music fans. One of those movies is Vinyl Nation. Vinyl Nation goes behind the scenes at some of the pressing plants. It talks to people who collect vinyl. It looks at some of the stores who have brought vinyl back and found their sales come back up. It looks at why vinyl is so important to people. When we first sat down to watch this a few months ago, my wife and I were, well, you know, I was back into collecting. My wife has never really had a lot of vinyl. She was mostly cassettes in her day. But we both found the film fascinating. The things that have happened because of vinyl, the things that go into making the perfect vinyl product, pressing vinyl and how to do it on a small scale, and people who have learned that vinyl music, when you physically put the record needle on the record, it's something special. The music is just as good on CD or cassette or even digital, but you don't get that guttural feeling. This is something that a lot of the vinyl community talks about quite frequently, and this movie talks about why it happens. Vinyl Nation is not currently available online. It is still making the film festival circuit. However, if you're lucky enough to have been able to grab one of the 1,000 copies that were released last year on one of the record store day drops, like us, you know already, or can find out if you haven't watched it yet, what we're talking about. Vinyl Nation will come to streaming sometime in 2022. And you can still look in festivals at your area to see if they're showing it. It's very much worth the time to watch, because there's nothing that puts a smile on your face more than hearing about people like you. And Vinyl Nation does that in spades. When it comes to your area or when it hits streaming later this year, check out Vinyl Nation.
Am I okay to pop out my little portable and just check out that scratch? Got any holiday music, 45s, Christmas stuff?
I'm gonna burn through this stack and then we're gonna just go talk to somebody, because there's clearly another section they're not letting me have access to.
There is a underground of tape traders and CD traders across the country who do this, try to make cool Christmas discs every year.
The worst music in the world is bad Christmas music.
I found the typical
Okay,
Christmas
I used to think some people were really obsessive about music. I've really found some obsessive people in the VC since I've been here. I mean, I can be obsessive in some ways. I love certain artists, I love certain genres. But this movie brings forth a particular sort of really obsessed collector that I didn't realize even existed, the Christmas music collector. I've talked about Jingle Bell Rocks before. I even had a contest for it in December of 2020. This movie, all about the rock and roll warriors of Christmas music, is a delight from beginning to end. It's funny, it's poignant. We hear about all different kinds of things, and I learned about Christmas music I'd never even heard of. I had never heard of the free design until I saw this film. Kim is forever regretting it, because now Close Your Mouth, It's Christmas is part of my rotation. The same, although I don't listen to it much, I didn't know Nat King Cole's The Christmas That the Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot. Wow, talk about a depressing story. It talks about those two songs in depth. John Waters and his Christmas stuff, Christmas in Hollis from Run DMC, and a whole host of other outlandishly crazy Christmas songs with wonderful interviews with some of the people who have made it, some of the collectors who obsess on it, and even the great doctor himself, Barry Hansen, Dr. Demento. Jingle Bell Rocks is one of those kind of films that just puts a smile on your face, and it won't go away for hours after you see it, because it is so funny and so informative that you might find yourself becoming obsessed with oddball Christmas music as well. I know I've actually gone out of my way to find oddball music since I saw it. Something my wife will probably forever regret. Jingle Bell Rocks is available on most streaming services, and you can get it for free, I believe, on Amazon. You can check around and see what you can find. But if you haven't seen Jingle Bell Rocks yet, please take the time to do so. You deserve a happy day. That's going to do it for this week's Rockin Reviews. Please check out All Things Must Pass, The Rise and Fall of Tower Records, Our Vinyl Weighs a Ton, The Story of Stone's Throw Records, Vinyl Nation, when you can, and Jingle Bell Rocks. Next week, I'll have some more great music documentaries for you. We're going to look at the people behind the record industry and a few artists also in a few more documentaries I think you'll love. In the meantime, I hope you'll continue to check out my channel and check out all the great stuff I have to offer, including my Obscuria daily, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and weekly I have a show called Influencers on Tuesdays, talking about the artists who are important to me. I have my general show, the Kirkham Report, every Saturday with news and features and artists and little bit of everything. And when I can do it, I had to skip it this week because of circumstances, Off the Charts on Thursdays, which will look at different categories or different records and how they performed on the charts. I have a few more things going up and a couple of other things in the pipeline, and I hope you'll check it out here and check out my full website at thekirkhamreport.com. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. My count is slowly rising. Thank you very much. And don't forget to spread the word to other people. And you can do that the best by leaving a comment for me. I love hearing from you and all the stuff that you might have to say to me, good or bad. I'm always willing to listen to it. And I thank you for taking the time to comment. Until next time, and until my next show, I'm T.C. Kirkham, the Kirkham Report. We'll see you soon. Ciao, baby.